Hello everyone, you join me here with the all-new, and I truly mean all-new, Audi A6 e-Tron here in this rear-wheel drive format here. Very unique for an Audi, which you typically would see Quattro. And this is a pretty special vehicle for the brand, as it is an all-new ground-up architecture, the premium platform electric. And this is a pretty much fully loaded specification here at around $75,000. And let's go take it on a drive after having it over the course of this week. Soft closed doors here. This little clip, Apple CarPlay, as you can see. And even though we do have a start-stop button, the vehicle does start up automatically, which is a little funky, but you can still use that. If I unbuckle myself and open the door, the vehicle will actually turn off. So this start-stop button is a little redundant, but there's a lot of interesting things about this vehicle that you'll see in our full tour and review, so definitely have a watch at that. We'll pop it into drive here. We have a drive and a B mode. We have these really cool light animations, and let's head off. So what are we getting here on this all new Audi A6 e-Tron? So I'm happy we are even getting this vehicle here in the United States. I was a little bit scared that we were not going to get it. And it's very interesting. So this competes with a lot of vehicles actually now, which is kind of cool to say. So we have the Lucid Air. I would say the Lucid Air Pure is a direct competitor with this car, as well as the BMW i5, the Mercedes EQE, for however long that will still be on sale in the United States or in the global markets until that's replaced, as well as the Tesla Model S. And this one definitely stands out in quite a few ways. It has quite a lot of range. It's pretty efficient. We have a really low drag coefficient around 0.23. We also are getting an all-new architecture, like I mentioned, so that means an all-new kind of EV experience from Audi. Coming to a stop here at the stoplight, you're going to see we have this adaptive regenerative braking mode turned on, so it knows where stoplights are, it knows where a lot of different intersections are, very similar to how BMW's adaptive regenerative braking mode works. Go off in dynamic mode here. So this car has around and up to 375 horsepower, of course, all going to the rear wheels. You can get a Quattro variant of this vehicle as well if you would like. I did get this car a little bit sideways when I turned traction control off in the rain, but it does not like to do that. It honestly feels like a Quattro most of the time. Turn in and steering is, well, incredibly muted. I have to say, this is one of the most video game-like vehicles I have driven this year so far. The steering is incredibly disconnected from this vehicle. I would have to say, honestly, this is the one of the most disconnected feeling electric vehicles I have ever driven. And in that sense, I give credit to Audi, as they were working to create really an electric luxury isolation pod. And I can tell you right now, they succeeded at that incredibly well. It is so quiet in here. It's so isolating from the road. I literally feel like I am floating. Maybe that's part and due to the air suspension, or part and due to just how quiet this and stiff this chassis is, and how well tuned it is, and how there's like zero input from the steering rack, even though it's, you know, you can kind of tell where you're going, but sometimes I really do have to make some more adjustments a little bit more precisely, because there's that rear wheel steering factor in there, so that virtually can shrink the wheelbase when you're going around corners or in a parking lot. You don't really notice it actually, which is nice. I don't like an overly intrusive rear wheel steering. And again, on the smooth pavement and on all pretty much pavement types, this is a really smooth vehicle. Again, this is a brand new architecture, a brand new vehicle, and I have noticed some interesting rattles and bumps in this cabin. So particularly in this area, if I go over a bump on the right rear passenger side, I get this almost like glass shaking effect. I'm not too sure where it's coming from. I've tapped all of these panels. I'm trying to replicate it for you guys, but it's kind of, oh, there we go. I just heard it right there. It sounds like the mirror is actually like vibrating from the exterior. Visibility is really good. Generally, I would say these A-pillars are quite in your line of sight though, if you are kind of looking out on either corner. And this is one trait I've noticed in the Lucid Air. That car is very aerodynamically optimized, as is this one. And I kind of noticed that same kind of factor happening right here. A lot of this kind of reminds me of the Lucid Air, but almost just dulled down in a sense of being more luxury focused, less dynamic focused. And I do feel a little bit on the smaller side of this cabin here. I feel like the roof is a little bit lower down to me. My seat is in the lowest position right now, and I would say I have a good amount of headroom thanks to this glass roof. But if this glass roof was not there, I feel like I'd be a little bit more even cramped than not. We also have a B mode here, which is kind of a more full one-pedal driving style. I really like these turn signal animations that Audi is doing. You can see our massive augmented reality heads-up display, which acceleration is incredibly linear and smooth though, which is really nice in this vehicle. We have blind spot, a lot of safety systems in this vehicle, too much in some cases. There's really no sound in this vehicle as well, even when you're accelerating. So I'll try to get up to highway speeds right now and have a listen to this. You'll also see some interesting animations happen. There it goes. So that was full throttle in the A6 e-Tron. And you can already see it's doing a time interval of the vehicle in front of me. So it's saying, oh, you're too close, get back on that AR heads-up display. Now, I find this to be incredibly distracting, actually, because it happens so much. You can adjust the time interval in the infotainment cluster here, and you can also turn that feature completely off if it is irritating you, but I wanted to keep it on so I can show you guys what it looks like on the highway here. Now, what I was a little disappointed to see in this car on the highway, especially compared with pretty much all of its other competitors, is its driver safety systems. I mean driver assistance cruise control systems on the highway here. So we have this little stalk on the left-hand side. You pop it towards you as the driver, and you can kind of fiddle around with it. I always get a little confused with this thing. I can set our speed there. Okay, I got it. You can see there's some crazy stuff happening in their heads-up display. You can gently tap up for increments of 1, or you can tap up harder for increments of 5 miles per hour. And you can adjust your distance control here as well. Now, all crazy graphics aside, I'll actually expand this view here. It isn't super advanced. Now, I've turned on every possible setting we have on this vehicle here. And it doesn't do some of those, higher end luxury features that I was expecting. It doesn't do auto lane change. It doesn't have a hands-free mode. It doesn't have like all these kinds of functions you're going to find on a BMW i5 or a Lucid Air or a Tesla Model S or even an EQE, for example. And generally it works pretty well. I did notice around some corners it kind of sways a little bit out of the lane, so you do definitely have to keep your hands on this vehicle at all times. I like the heads-up display graphics for this mode here. It's kind of tracking the vehicle, and if you can see on camera, it kind of puts a tracking marker on a vehicle up ahead and kind of follows it in that sense. But I think this is really where this A6 came into play for me, is on the highway. This is a wonderful, wonderful road tripping vehicle, especially if you're commuting on the highway a lot. You got the range, you got the luxury, you got the comfort. The comfort level is truly one of the best I think I've experienced in this class of vehicle. It's way more isolating and more comfortable than the Lucid Air I've experienced, I would say. It's way more isolating and more comfortable even than, like a Tesla Model S or a BMW i5. That is this vehicle's strong points here. It's just so isolating from the outside road environments, from any environment of the exterior. You feel like you're just floating on a cloud. Back on our cruise control system here, and with some wind, I do want to test actually out this audio system here. So we'll use our test track sound, we'll increase our following distance here just a little bit and reduce our speed as we are heading into some traffic. And let's have a go with our audio test track here. I would say this is everything you would expect out of an Audi premium Bang & Olufsen audio system in this vehicle here. It's incredibly crisp, incredibly clear, really high quality, high fidelity audio in this vehicle as well. And you have that added effect of adjusting all these really cool things with our headrest speakers. Especially you can individually turn them on or off or adjust the volume levels for the front driver and passenger, which I think is an awesome touch there. So now you can see here, we're getting a little bit more information with our mapping system built in with the audio, built in with the vehicle here, which is nice. But again, still missing out on those good old giant maps in our cluster up here, which is still gone. And I'm not sure if you guys have noticed over the course of this drive, but I always am figuring out still where to place my hands on this steering wheel. It's just a little bit of a funky shape. There's just so many ports and holes. You can kind of rest it here and rest it down here. Up here feels a little bit weird because this is actually the lowest the steering wheel goes. So as you guys can see right now, actually, it's telling me to get over. You can see there's a gigantic arrow in the augmented reality heads-up display. It's probably telling me to get over again, honestly, but it's huge and it moves around. It gives you these really great directional views over here as well. I would say it's useful in some cases. It's just in other cases I find it to be a little bit distracting, and towards the end of this video when we are parking up this Audi, you'll see where the useful cases I think can and cannot come in. We already saw that distance control thing there, which I honestly would turn off because it kind of glitches sometimes where it thinks the vehicle is too close to you, but it's really not, and it kind of keeps stretching out those red lines. I've experienced that a few times over the course of this week.